Mm. So touching on that as well. So because so you mentioned you're born in 75. So that's going up from 75 up to where we are now. There's a lot of major changes that happen to especially in the stateside within black communities. And as we know, the crack and cocaine epidemic and all of the like as well, especially considering that you are on the West Coast as well, so close to that Hollywood, that LA, that lifestyle where all of that stuff was pretty much going on anyway. So what was it like other than, your art as your release? What was it like for yourself growing up through in Oakland through 75, through to even like the
Yeah.
90s and
So
2000s?
yeah. So wow. It was so for sure. I mean, like I'll start by saying this. Like just in growing up in that time, like in the Bay Area, we don't have a gang culture like Los Angeles does. Our gang culture was different
Mm,
growing up within the black community. So like in the black community, it was about like neighborhoods more so than colors. So like, a street, one street would not get along with another street, but you wouldn't be immediately identified by what color you had on. Like that was definitely more Southern California when it comes to the black community, the African American community. The color thing came along in the Latin community a little later in the Bay Area. But yeah, for us, it was really, really interesting, like to experience, I would say when I was in elementary school, Oakland was a very different place to me. And when crack hit, it I saw the community deteriorate in a way that like it's so hard to explain, but it was like, like the businesses that were thriving in East Oakland just like they were closing, and people were like, areas became so much more dangerous. It was like, like this was also a time where, like, you know I remember experiencing, like, it's a shame I have to say it like this, but it was like the
mhm.
first shooting I ever experienced was probably when I was maybe in the second grade.
So
Um,
how old's that for us in the UK?
so it, yeah, so that would I was in second grade probably around 1982, and so like,
7.
just
Wow.
yeah, so I was about 7 years old. Um, and I'll start just by saying, like, I was definitely I grew up in an area that was not dangerous, which I'm super fortunate for that. But we were in a dangerous city, and if you wanted to do what, and so I was fortunate, like at 7. I would say I was fortunate to experience a lot of things through my brother and sister, who were 8 and 9 when I was born. So, like, at the age of 7, my brother's 15, my sister's 16, and they couldn't do a lot of things without taking me along. It was like, you want to do that, you got to take your brother, like that kind of thing. And so, luckily I wasn't a lot of trouble. Like I followed directions. I didn't wander very much, that kind of thing. And so my brother and sister had no problem taking me wherever they went. But because of that and through that, I experienced a lot of culture earlier than my peers. So like at 7, I'm at the skating rink with my brother and sister at night, on a Saturday night,
Mm.
and I'm hearing all of the music of that time. So if you think about 82, we're listening
Wow.
to Message, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So these are things that I'm experiencing. But yeah, at that time, crack crack has hit, and this is the era of a very famous drug dealer of our area, Felix Mitchell, who
Mm.
he was he was someone who I have heard, I don't know if it's fact or not, but he had an operation that was very similar to what happened in the movie New Jack City.
Okay.
And so he ran the 69th Village Projects, and it was sort of like the concept of what the Carter was in
Mm.
the movie New Jack City from 1991 with Wesley Snipes. Um, and he had a full on operation where he was moving crack, and it was spreading all throughout everywhere. And so yeah, during that time you start to see a change. And so there was the first time I ever experienced a shooting was at the age of 7, and it was after a night at the skating rink, and was with my brother, and everyone would go to there was an AM/PM that sat on I think it was like Foothill and 106 in East Oakland, and all the kids that had gone skating were there, either like everyone's hanging out, they're grabbing something to drink and some snacks because that's probably the only thing open, and we're waiting on my mom to pick us up, and yeah, out of nowhere. I mean, like, there's girls out there, there's, like the whole thing. And so, like somebody drives by and they just start shooting. And then I know, and then everyone starts running. And that was the first time, like for me, that I realized that, like there's I had to be aware of, like there were environments where I could be unsafe, and I didn't know
Right.
that before. Like I hadn't experienced any of that, and I hadn't. So I, like that was definitely eye opening, but it was a change. Like from that point on, that's how, more and more progressively, especially moving into my teenage years, that's how functions ended, was either through a shooting or an altercation, or the police broke it up. But it was never like, okay, party's over, everyone go home, see you next time. It was never like that.
Mm.
And I think that crack had a lot to do with that. And so you talk about the effects of the crack era in the Bay Area. Like I know when once I got to like junior high school, of which was you would say wow, maybe 1986. I'm entering in, so like 86 through 89, 90. Um, and this was the seventh, eighth, and ninth grade for me. I was experiencing I was experiencing other students and children who were going home to parents who were either absent, on crack, like they had adult problems and they were kids, like and so I was very naive to these things beforehand, because I was fortunate to come from a family that was intact, um, and hardworking parents who kept me from those things. And so to experience that and to see that was very, very eye opening. To have crack just sort of invade the community, it was horrifying, really, to see it happen.
Damn. Well, yeah, man. I mean, we can definitely tell from all of the from all the documentaries and such that you come across that it was definitely something vile. But to think like the age of 7, and that's the first time you realize that there goes the neighborhood. Like legitimately, that's I couldn't even fathom that, to be honest with you. But then again, born in '85. By the time I've come of age, here in the UK, crack is that it's just as dangerous as it is anywhere in the world that you come across it.